morning, everybody. Welcome back to What's the Hazard. This is Doug. Man, we have been off for a few weeks. We took a little hiatus. It's good to be back, and we've got a great show today, so really looking forward to it. It is Friday, April 19th. It's kind of cold this morning, man.
It was a little
we had 80 degrees last week and like 12 degrees this morning, so welcome to Nebraska. Just to get you caught up, we took a few weeks off. I was down with the influenza. I don't know if you guys have been through that recently, but that I don't remember that. That wasn't very fun. I didn't enjoy that at all, man. And we took a few weeks off. We've got another project coming. I've been working with my buddy Mark Haysbrook on a new project, which is going to launch on May 1st, so stay tuned for that. But today, I'm really excited. I've got three gentlemen here from the Omaha Fire Department. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in more detail, but we've got Cody, Ryan, and Nate.
Correct.
Excellent. I'll let them handle the last names because I knew I would botch that. But they are part of the Omaha Fire Department specialized rescue teams. I know that's not the proper terminology. You can use that. But you guys do things that most ordinary people don't do. Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. Yeah,
okay.
fair.
And we can describe that in a little bit more detail. But they have also started a company. You have your own company now, Midwest Misfits Training.
Correct.
Which is, again, specialized rescue types of training scenarios from my perspective, which would be ideal for the occupational world, which is why we've kind of hooked up. Our buddy Dustin hooked us up, so we can talk about that. You are currently training other fire departments and things like that. So the Midwest Misfits, I want you to go right now, find the website. I Googled Midwest Misfits, went right to you. Excellent website. I don't know if one of you have a child that was capable of doing that or how that happened. But
no, we have a Phil. We have a Phil.
Excellent.
Phil.
Well, let's do a quick intro. If you wouldn't mind, just go around and introduce yourselves a little bit about your history, how you've all come to be in this world of specialized rescue, and then we'll talk about the company, what you do. So, Nate, you mind starting?
I'll start. Nate Spath. I've been on Omaha for 16 years now. Wow. Started on a smaller department in Hastings, Nebraska.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And started working with these guys. I had some of the special operations modules when I came on, and started training into that. And about 6-7 years on the department, I got on to Nebraska Task Force 1, the FEMA team out of Lincoln, and stayed on there for a few years, became an instructor with them. Worked at Metropolitan Community College for several years teaching there. And we all kind of got together. We're all instructors for FEMA, and some of us worked at the college, and Ryan's a dive instructor. We've all been in the instructing world for several years and kind of came together, and why don't we just send this out on our own? Why don't we kind of put something together?
Love it.
So we hold a pretty high standard when we train, so we want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that.
I love it, man. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Kind of where it started.
Yeah, man. Very good. Yeah. Very good. And you were also military. You served.
Yes, U.S. Army before I came in. So
very good.
Yeah.
Did you do this kind of crazy shit there? I mean,
not quite.
Not to this extent.
It was crazy. It was crazy, but a little bit different.
Okay.
I was in from 2000 to 2005.
Fantastic.
So deployed and got out and wanted something that kind of had the same feel, the same camaraderie as they had in the military,
right,
but not traveling around the world.
I get that. So, absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, Cody.
Yeah. Cody Brdicko. I kind of have a similar story to Nate. I was on a smaller department for a couple years before I got in Omaha. I've been on Omaha Fire for about 8 years now. Got all my special operations modules right away. Once my candidate year was done, I went through all the special ops modules. So I've been running into the special ops rigs basically for the last 7 years now. Got on to Nebraska Task Force 1, started off in logistics, and then worked my way to rescue. And then I actually just became an instructor as well for them this few months back. So
fantastic.
Been doing that. That's basically it. Short, sweet. We all got together for the Misfits.
Yeah. So you guys would be working together on Omaha Fire, then you would be sent to situations together. So you had been working together and training together, probably.
Yeah,
that's how
quite a while.
Yep.
The camaraderie grew, and the idea started to grow.
Yeah, so we're really into the job. We like to train. Like Nate said, we set a high standard for ourselves. So part of the reason why we came up with the Misfits. If you look up the definition of a misfit, it's someone whose person or whose behavior or attitude sets them apart in an uncomfortable way. So
I'm all in, man. I love the name.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Trying to fight that battle with complacency. So
yeah, no doubt. All right, Ryan, how'd you come to be here?
Ryan Loewenstein. I'm 16 years on Omaha Fire Department. Me and Nate were classmates.
No kidding.
In the academy.
That's awesome.
So I started on a small department too. I started in Columbus.
Okay.
Before that, I was a volunteer, and then also in the Navy. So I got out. Same thing with Nate. It's like I wanted to be a fireman, wanted to do this stuff, and started in a small town. Got some certifications, got some education. Came to Omaha, and just kept going with that. Got on to Nebraska Task Force 1, trained with these guys. Started doing the dive stuff, and the big things, we all kind of got together. We like to train, Everybody wants to be a fireman because they want to help people. That's the second reason you become a fireman. The first reason is you want to play with all the cool toys, right? You get to see, like, I get paid, or I can play with ropes and saws and axes, and this is cool stuff,
Absolutely,
right?
man.
So we go do that, and then as we got together and trained and saw, like, there's a need. Like, there's no one in the Midwest. Like, why isn't there a training agency that's local? We're like, why don't we just start one?
I love that. Yeah,
instead of having to fly somebody from California or Louisiana or the East Coast to come do something, we're like, why can't we just do something?
Right here.
We just drive like 4 hours and train them. They don't have to fly. It's good for us. It's good for them.
Absolutely.
And like Nate said, we hold ourselves to that really high standard that when we go show up to people and train them, they're like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And you didn't like kill our budget. We're like, yeah, you saved money, we made money, and you got what you wanted.
Yeah, we'll kill the budgets of all these occupational companies. They have much bigger budgets. We'll work on that. And so the idea of starting this because of a need that you'd identified, there wasn't anybody doing it here locally. Yep. And so talk about the services that you do provide. The things, we've mentioned like rope work. We've mentioned diving below surface, like in the water.
Yeah.
Like,
public safety diving.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was on your website, which is excellent. A lot of great information there, but just talk a little bit about the kind of services and the trainings that you offer, what you guys are doing.
So we offer pretty much anything that's outside of normal fire operations. So I think probably the most basic thing that we do is, I say basic as far as equipment needed and technical training is RID operations. So what that is rapid intervention. So one of the fire crews, something happens to them, they go down in a fire. There's designated crews outside that are going in to get them.
Okay.
So Cody did really well putting that class together, and it's been a pretty big hit going out to the departments, and it's very hands-on, very intense, things that you normally don't get to work with. Mm-hmm. And then we go into special ops, tech rope rescue. We do trench rescue, confined space, anything you're going to find in industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
That's actually ours.
No doubt.
Tech rescue here in this area is primarily industrial, because we don't have mountains or cool things here. Mm-hmm. So most of that.
So when you're doing these responses for OFD, they are oftentimes occupational workplaces or settings that you're being sent to.
Correct.
Yeah. Generally, yep.
Okay. Interesting. So it's a natural transition to be able to train in those environments. You're familiar with those environments. And yeah, when I was looking at your website and I saw confined space rescue training, trench rescue training, high elevation rescue, those kind of things, I was envisioning all of my workplaces, all of the folks that I work with, everybody needs confined space rescue training. And there is a glaring deficiency there with most companies. They think they're going to rescue somebody, they have no idea. Yeah. Trench rescue, rescue from elevation. I work with a lot of grain companies, ethanol companies. They're all working up on those bins up in, at heights. I don't think they have any idea. So when I first heard about you guys, when the introduction was made, I thought, man, this is really a need that needs to be filled. So, yeah, this is really something special.
Yeah. The nice thing with us, too, is we understand that everyone has different standards or different things that they have to follow. So we try and take that and design the class to their needs, right? Like we might have input on what equipment they should get or what equipment they should use, but we also train to what they have. Because we feel like why should we train someone on something if they don't even have the equipment?
Right.
So that's kind of not the nice thing with us is we go in and take our time to kind of assess what their situation is, what equipment they have, and then design the whole class around what their needs are.
Fantastic. So let's talk about that. So right now you are being, if somebody calls you on, you come onto their site, you do a little surveillance of their site, what their needs might be, work up some kind of a training program based on what their capabilities or what they're willing to try to do.
Yep.
And then train them on all that stuff.
Yep.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, that way they're not stuck with a typical, there might be a 5-day class that's the standard within fire departments, but an industry doesn't need a full 5-day class or 3-day class. We can design it to whatever they feel like they need.
And so where are you guys willing to go? I mean, do you travel?
Well, yeah,
We have a travel.
In the
We'll travel.
Midwest?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Cover
We'll cover anyway. If a plane lands there or we can rent a car and get somewhere, we'll go.
Okay, fantastic. Because
That sounds
Like you-
very well.
right. Yeah, if we can get you onto on a plane and then into a rental car and onto a dog sled and then into
Yeah, we got points. We'll go.
I love that, man, because like you said, the entire Midwest is probably underserved in that respect.
It drastically.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And so do you have, each of you have specialties? I mean, or do you guys all do all things, or how do
I
you?
would say we all can, everything that we teach, all of us are very proficient in.
Okay.
But I would say we each have our own thing that we're really good at. For example, Ryan's definitely our top dive guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be the one that handles anything dive, or he's going to set things up.
Mm-hmm.
They say Cody developed the RIT class for us, and he's also probably our most knowledgeable in ropes with the new techniques and stuff. Ryan and I are kind of aging a little bit, so some of our techniques are, we're like, hey. And he's like, why don't you try this new stuff? And I'm like, okay.
Right.
So
Well,
now we're all up to that speed now.
yeah,
but we all
fantastic.
push each other to do that same thing, and we kind of expect that when we go out and train that, hey, I know something, you know something. Let's get together and figure out what the best way to get this done is.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing this with companies now. You're just kind of dabbling in this.
It's we are working with an ND right now to set up some training with them.
Okay.
And we're in the final stage. It started with a phone call or text or email, and then some meetings, then some equipment review, and then some hey, here's your class. What do you guys think? This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's sit down and figure it out, and let's get a time frame built out and do it.
Yeah, I love that. Oh man, I have, man, my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour right now just thinking about the need that has been unserved for so long, and particularly the confined space thing is really interesting. Every workplace that I go into has confined space issues, and very rarely do you get the tripod and crank the guy out of a 5-foot deep hole. That's almost never the case. And so they look at their confined spaces and they think, I don't have a clue how I would get somebody out of there. And their normal response is, well, I just dial 911. And I'm like, oh, geez, man, I know those guys are going to try, but they're going to come onto your site. They may not be prepared. I mean, how many people does Omaha Fire have on staff that can do what you guys do?
Oh, they're very
a few dozen, maybe.
Yeah, they're staffed appropriately. Omaha do a very good job of getting that.
If a situation like that,
right?
Yeah.
But there's also a time gap, right?
Right.
So
right. That's really the issue.
Yeah, that's the huge issue, right? Omaha's going to be there in 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then set up to get somebody in and out. Where if you can train your people to immediately start facilitating that rescue, I mean, you might be 3 minutes ahead of the game when Omaha gets there.
Right.
So 3 minutes is a long time.
And that's the point. Ryan, that's exactly the point. That staff on site has to be able to at least initiate something before you guys get there, because those 3-4 minutes, whatever that time frame is really critical. And if you're just standing around with your, I was going to say something probably my mom wouldn't appreciate, but it's not good. So that's what you guys help these guys. If they can't do it themselves entirely, you can at least prepare them, to have a plan in place to initiate the make the phone calls appropriately.
Yep.
That is really cool. I love this idea. I love this idea.
Just to add something to that real quick, they say 60% of deaths in confined space are would-be rescuers. So even just to have the knowledge and a kind of a game plan on what you're going to do to have that knowledge to make sure you're not becoming a victim yourself, it goes a long way. So,
and I have to admit, I think, the credibility that you guys would bring to this training is different than if like a safety consultant like me is doing this training. I can recite, regulations. I can tell you what the regulation says, but I've never performed I've never performed any rescue of any type. I couldn't get my cat out of the tree, so I don't know how to do that. And it's not really fair to have a consultant try to teach you how to do that unless they're experts in that area. So this is really exciting to me, man. I'm looking forward to it.
That's where I feel like we're trying things a little bit different than when you could fly us in somewhere and we could teach you the most technical way to do everything that we do. And if you don't do it every day, you're working, you're a worker, you're down in your confined space and you're doing your job. We don't know that, but you don't know our job as a rescuer. So if we can bridge that gap between what we can do to make you operate safely with the equipment you have so that you don't become needing rescued, something bad happening to you, that's kind of where we like to teach you your equipment, make sure you're using it properly. Because it seems to be that most of the time when people have an accident, they have the policies in place, they have the equipment, they're just not using it or using it properly. So if we can take their equipment, show them everything they can do, and maybe tweak something they could do differently with the equipment they have or a small purchase of equipment, that's going to help out drastically where they're not needing the rescue in the first place, unless it's a true,
ideally.
Something blew up on them.
But just having familiarity with the equipment. I work with a company, their guys get into tanker trucks. Okay, they go inside the tankers and clean them. And they do air monitoring. They have the 4 gas meters, and they do that type of thing to some degree. I'm not sure they really understand. They know this is part of the procedure, but they'll get into these tankers, and they'll run into atmospheres that are a little bit unforgiving at times, and they don't know how to use the equipment. If you're, like you said, if you're not using that equipment regularly or haven't been trained on it properly, it's not intuitive necessarily how to, engage the gears and retrieve somebody, bang their head into the, it's just, it's something that needs to be trained on, and probably routinely, regularly.
Yeah.
If it's a consequential issue for you.
And the thing with that is we really like to stress that you have to understand how your equipment works. A lot of times people get taught how to do something, but they don't really people don't explain the why we do it that way. So we like to really hit hard on, here's how we do it, but this is why we do it this way. So I think that helps people understand their equipment better and then have more knowledge on what they're running into. So.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the occupational application of what you're doing. On the website also, I saw you had what I would refer to as the jaws of life, vehicle extraction type things, other types of, other rescue scenarios. How do you train for that, man? Just you work on the skill set, but you never know what you're getting into. Every situation must be different.
So that is 100% true. That every situation's different, and that's one of the gaps I would call it in our training. Is if you train the same thing over, if you sit a car on its wheels and you take a tool up there and you pop the door open, that's cool. Sometimes it works.
Right.
If that's all you can do and you haven't taken the next level.
Right.
So what if it's like this? What if it's upside down? What if it's smashed underneath something? That's the next level. And we like to take people to the next level because nobody wants to do the bread and butter. That's okay. That's fine. But when things get really hairy, that's where you want to be trained to that level.
Right.
So that when the easy stuff is easy for you, but you know what to do when it keeps progressing.
And that's another flaw within the occupational world. They do the easy stuff. They've practiced that. That's easy. They can set those scenarios up, but the reality type scenarios are much more difficult for them to envision and simulate.
Yeah.
It would be really helpful for someone to be able to go in there and help them. Well, what if this happens? Maybe this might be the case. That's useful.
And that's what we're kind of working on now. The entity we're working with currently, they kind of asked us, they're like, hey, here's our policies, but we want you to come in and come up with other ways that we could do this. That might be more efficient, or what we might run into that would help. So the whole thing is everything we do is dynamic, right? It's always changing. It's never going to be the same way, like you mentioned. It's never going to be the same way that you were planning on. So the biggest thing is being open to new information and then going with that new information and being able to adapt. So that's what
So if people want to get in touch with you, which they are going to want to do when we announce this episode and we promote your services, how do they get in touch with you?
They can go through the website. They can message us directly on the website. We've had a few contacts that way.
Okay.
All of our information is listed on the website as well, with phone numbers, emails. Personally, we have an admin email.
Okay, MidwestMisfits.com, or what is the website?
Yeah, it's MWMisfits.com.
MWMisfits.com.
And then for the email, it's admin@MWMisfits.com.
Okay, I love that. Okay.
And that admin email hits all three of us and our IT guy.
Okay.
Or Phil.
And are you guys training up some more? You're going to have more instructors? I mean, you're going to get so busy here in the next 2 weeks that you're going to have some more.
Yeah, it's in the
guys
works.
on the crew that you're.
We have our Phil. Phil's one of our instructors too, but he's teaching. He's teaching somewhere else right now.
Is he? Okay, good.
So, yeah,
good.
But that's our goal is to we want to get bigger and bring on more instructors, but we don't want our training or anything watered down.
Yeah,
like we want it to stay the same and not get. And so that's big between the three of us is if we start taking on instructors and doing more stuff that. One of us has to be there to make sure it goes the way we want it to go, and it doesn't just get, yep, you guys did good enough. Oh, we don't do good enough. Like you did it the way we want it to do.
I absolutely understand that. Yeah, I've been using subcontractors for quite a long time, and there is an expectation of a certain level of quality and commitment, to the job and stuff, which is sometimes hard if you're not vested in the success of the organization to find those right guys. So I appreciate that.
One nice thing that we have going for us is that since we've all instructed for so long, and with being on the task force, we have a pretty big network of people that we can reach out to, just from the years of building your network with the fellow instructors. Just that we can reach out at times, and we have some that we are already kind of looking at that kind of meet the standard already. So it's just a matter of making sure they will keep that and want to work with us.
Yeah, fantastic. No,
donate
absolutely.
Give the time to us. So.
How often do you get called while you're working OFD to do these types of things? Is it frequent? I mean, is it occasional?
I'd say occasional.
Yeah, we're just over a little over a year with forming our company, but we've definitely gotten a lot busier in the last couple months.
Good.
So yeah, it's picking up, but I would say, like Nate said, occasional.
Okay, good. Well, we'll see if we can't pick that frequency up. I would love to see that. Ultimately, when I ride out of this gig, I would like to see all of my companies prepared to do all of these things because they're not right now, and it's glaringly apparent when you talk about preparedness and stuff. It's not because of any fault of their own. They've just never been exposed to that type of training. They need that type of training, which is really exciting. So what do you guys do for fun? I mean, what do you do to relax?
Podcasts.
Nobody does this for fun, man. No, I mean, because are you adrenaline junkies? I mean, how would you describe yourself? I mean, it's obviously very calculated. Everything you do is trained, calculated. You're not crazy risk takers, obviously, or you wouldn't be successful at this. Right. But do you dive?
I do. I dive
for recreation.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay.
And I like to spend time camping outside.
Like to be outside,
not doing anything.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. Have you been up to like Quetico or anything like that up in Canada?
No, I'm super easy, man. I park my camper in one spot and it never moves.
You've got a little fire pit.
Yep.
Yep.
I just got to show up with some clothes and some hot dogs, and I'm ready to go.
That's perfect. Yeah. What about you, man? What do you?
Usually on my free time, I'm either doing this or chasing kids around.
Okay.
Spending as much time as
little
I can
kids.
with the family. Yeah.
You seem to be. I don't mean to make, but you seem younger than the rest of us. Everybody here is younger. Everybody's always younger than me, which is fine. But you have little kids. You have children, or
I do. Mine are teenagers now, so I'm in the midst of chasing them everywhere around the country to play volleyball.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, they're all volleyball players. So.
And all on travel teams.
Yes.
I remember those days, man. And you?
Yeah, I have two daughters. One's actually a firefighter in Lincoln.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
My youngest is in college, so I'm the empty nester here.
Yeah,
So.
you and I both, man,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I've got two sons. Both are gone, but one of them, and they're really interestingly different in their personalities and stuff. But one of them is lives out in Colorado. He was a snowboarding instructor this winter at Winter Park, and he's a climber, rope guy, and and he's 20. I think he just turned 26, maybe, and he's kind of still figuring things out. But when I heard what you guys, I thought, oh my God, he's not a crazy lunatic. He's a very calculated, precise type guy. I would love for him to, come and train with you guys on the ropes or something. I think he would be fascinated by that. And you were talking about some of the things that you do for the community. You've got events coming up that you do for the community and stuff, which I thought was fantastic, man. You're doing something for Children's Hospital. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Would one of you be willing to share what you're doing?
I have kind of a history with Children's Hospital, so what we're going to do is partner with them. We have all this rope gear, and if we use it for training, and we're like, let's use it for something, fun for the community. So it's going to be kind of like a superheroes thing where we're going to rappel off the hospital in superhero costumes.
Oh, man.
And hang out with the kids.
The kids will love that.
Just kind of have fun with them, give them they're in
a special day.
They're in a good, it's a good hospital, but they're not in a place they want to be.
Of course.
So if we can bring a little.
It's kind of like, if I can even say this, but at the University of Iowa, when they wave at the hospital, after the end of the first quarter, the kids love that stuff. Yeah. I think that's fantastic. When is that?
We don't have a date yet because the hospital is redoing their anchors.
Okay.
On the building, so
that's important.
We're not going to rush them on that. We're going to get that done.
Right. Do you know who's installing the anchors? What company? Maybe I could give you some insights into that.
I don't know. I know. I didn't ask.
Interesting. Well, that's an interesting point. You guys are using other people's anchors often, right? Or are you trying to establish anchors when you're on site? That's got to be kind of a challenge.
Yeah. So we'll inspect. If we have a call, we'll inspect the anchors. Mm-hmm. And if the anchor looks like it's what we call a bomb-proof anchor, we'll use it. Mm-hmm. If it's not, we've wrapped air handling units. We've wrapped buildings.
Right.
We'll find something.
Right. You guys have you had to do any tower work, like tower rescue stuff? I can remember when I was with OSHA, we had a rash of falls off of the telecommunications towers. There was just about a few years there where guys were dropping off. They were pulling on those high-def antennas and stuff, and we had a lot of guys fall.
No rescues. I haven't had any. I don't know if you've had any.
Not on tower.
Well, we definitely do some tower rescue training.
Okay.
We've gone up there and done it. Built escape blocks, send them down, and so that's another thing. If you need tower rescue training,
everybody
call
does.
the Misfits.
Absolutely, I love that. Yeah, man. When you think about the applications, there's so many different things that this applies to. That skill set is really useful for. Yeah. You got other. You spend your whole life in service. Working for the fire department and then doing this, which is hopefully lucrative for you, but it's a service-based skills, offering. Obviously, do you have time to do anything else?
Yeah.
You're chasing kids around, obviously. Maybe you catch a volleyball game once in a while.
So we, obviously this is we all enjoy doing this. So it's when we go out and do these classes, let's be honest, they're fun.
It's fun, yeah.
We just did a RIT class in a real house. So it was smoked up, and you're cutting windows down to doors. You're using ropes and lowering people down. That's fun. Mm-hmm. So I think I speak for myself. I'm pretty sure these guys agree with me that, we all enjoy doing the classes. But then when there's free time, I'm going to be on the water. If I'm not in a volleyball gym, I'm out on the water trying to fish or, do something.
Yeah.
Dive or swim or
you dive also?
Fish. Yeah.
No shit. Okay. Yeah. Did you teach him or?
No, I didn't teach him. He'd be better at it if I taught him.
Yeah, I was going to say, you watch him and think, no, that's not how I would do it. But, probably got it through the Army.
See how we push each other?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's our rhetoric all the time.
And you too, diver?
I'm not a diver, no.
Okay.
Someday we're going to get him.
Get him in there. He's snorkeling right now.
Yeah.
Just one step at a time.
I just
cool.
like to look.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we got a buddy, one of my good friends that I do some training with. He's kind of a hazardous materials guy. He was EOD diver in the Navy. Chris Bryant. He's an interesting cat. He was in the Navy for 12 years as a diver. He went to the divers training school. He became an instructor at some point. And when he got out of the Navy, it was 2001, and he got recruited into like the 2nd Air Marshal class right after 9/11. So he went through that, and he always tells this. He's got a long-haired guy with a beard, and he'd always tell this story. I'm the guy that would sit next to you and lie to you for 2 hours on a plane flight, and then he goes, not all that exciting necessarily, but, interesting.
Yeah.
You guys have a very similar makeup. I, on the other hand, am afraid of just about everything. I can't really, thank God that you guys do this. And I sincerely, appreciate it. On behalf of the community, thank you for what you do, because most of us couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I get up on top of this table and I'm shaking, man,
Yeah.
looking for a way down.
Like
So,
I said, we can put you in a Spider-Man costume hanging off the hospital.
right. Well, yeah, if I was unconscious, we'll get Dustin to pump some meds into me, drop me off that way. Very good. This is really exciting, man. So you're off duty, get to relax this afternoon. And
got today off.
Nice. And so what is, are you on different shifts? Are you on standard shifts like the firefighters, or do you have different shifts to cover the rescue requirements? So how does that work?
We're all 24-hour shifts. So we go on 7 in the morning, get off 7 the next morning. And then do you get, like, is it like, we used to call it Kelly days, where there would be, you do like 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on. Is it something like that? Or? So our schedule, we go 5 shifts where it's day on, day off, and then we get 6 off.
Okay.
Which kind of opens up the time to be able to do this
Gives
stuff.
you an opportunity to do this, yeah. And so are you guys, at least one of you is typically available to cover the Misfits work activities while the other are on shift, or how are you guys
No,
organizing
we're all on the
that?
same shift right now.
Oh, you are?
So-
Okay, so you would schedule then accordingly based on those days off. That's cool. That'd be nice to have 5 or 6 days that you could do this kind of work in that time frame.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Anything else that you guys want to share with the audience before we start? The phone starts ringing.
We got that one upcoming class was the rope rescue technician in May.
Nice.
So
Is that going to be in Omaha?
In Omaha, 40-hour class, covers the NFPA standard for rope rescue technician.
Can you do you schedule classes in advance like that, so we can go onto the
so
website?
on our website it'll say upcoming classes, and you can click on it.
Fantastic.
And it'll take you right there, and you can register on the class online and be in the class.
So what would the class menu look like? What would the offerings look like?
Right now, the only class we have is the rope rescue coming up. Because we haven't scheduled anything, we have we're the water safety for the USA Triathlon in June. So we're covering that, so we don't have a class booked, and then we'll start getting into a lot of our summer stuff coming up. In fall.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just cater the classes to the needs of the customer.
We cater to the customer.
That's fantastic.
So that USA Triathlon you just brought into another piece that we do that we didn't really talk about, but it's kind of one of the things I really enjoy is the swift water. So flood water, swift water, moving water, kind of hammered our state a few years back and kind of left us woefully ill-prepared. And so it's something that we all do on the task force as well, but something this area wasn't used to, and it's something we offer that will come out and whatever your department has or company has with boats and swimming and the suits and the PPE, we cover all that stuff, and it's
I love that. So when you're doing this work, when the Misfits are doing this work for a municipality, a smaller department or something like that, they pay you, obviously, right? I mean, they have budgets for this training that they can,
And we've done some stuff, like we did the John Sink Tri-County Mutual Aid Training Day.
Yeah.
We didn't charge them for that. We just went in and trained the firefighters that want to take our class for the day. But we try to work with some of the volunteer departments that might not have a giant budget.
Sure.
And just like, here's what we want. And
here's what we can.
Let's kind of figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to put an end to that, man. That's, I mean, what you guys have to offer is incredibly valuable, and it's based on the availability of these skills. That's
Yeah, that's what we thought when we started. Is if you look around for
you got to bring somebody in.
technical rescue training, you're going to fly somebody in, put them in a hotel, and give them per diem, and we just go home at night.
You guys
Eat
will
our own
sleep in
food.
your cars.
Yeah.
No fancy hotels necessary.
We're easy.
I've done that before, yeah. No doubt. I love it, man. It's really fantastic. I really appreciate your being here. Coming off shift, you probably had better places to be, but this is really incredible. And I hope we can get you a lot of business. Yeah. I love it. So thank you all. Ryan, Cody, Nate, Midwest Misfits. Find it at mwmisfits.com. I had to do that. I'm sorry, I'm a little slow.
No worries.
Government guy. It's fantastic. Thank you, guys. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. It's good to be back. It's been a long time, a little hiatus, and I'm glad we're starting off with an episode like this that everybody's going to be able to benefit from. So check out the website. Give them a call. Get the training scheduled. Be prepared. We've been talking a lot about preparedness over the last few weeks, so let's get that in place. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you next Friday. Bye-bye.